Everything's gone. 20 years, just gone, wiped out overnight. There I was, standing outside in my pajamas at 3 a.m., watching my own house burn down to the studs, the cold biting through the smoke, and right across the street, there she stood, my HOA president neighbor, Chloe Green, recording every second of my devastation like it was the 4th of July fireworks. Not calling 911, not shouting for help, just filming with that phone like she was collecting some sick trophy. You know, the same woman who spent months terrorizing my family over our grass being 1/3 of an inch too tall. Yeah, that happened. But what Chloe didn't know, as she stood there grinning at the flames, is that she just made the biggest mistake of her life. She picked the wrong neighbor to push. And by the time I was done, she'd wish she'd never heard my name. You ever deal with a neighbor who treats HOA bylaws like they're carved on stone tablets? Well, Chloe Green, 5'4" in designer sneakers, lived for that clipboard of hers. She'd stalk out of her pristine colonial every morning, all laser measurer and digital calipers, like NASA sent her out to measure the moon. But really, she was just planning to make my life miserable over 2.8 inches of grass. That's right, 2.8. According to Maplewood Heights HOA, the limit's 2.5, and Chloe took that more seriously than most folks take their wedding vows. Picture this. I'm out one Saturday, mug of coffee in hand, admiring my lawn, thinking it looks pretty damn good, when I hear a clicking. I turn, and there's Chloe, crouched by my mailbox, scanning blades of grass with a contractor-grade laser, muttering numbers like some kind of suburban Raymond. 2.8 inches, Mr. King, she says, standing up with this Oscar-worthy sigh, dusting off her knees like she just discovered America. Then, no kidding, she starts taking selfies with my grass, posing with her clipboard, probably for her private hall of shame. She's talking to her phone. This is what I deal with every day. Like documenting my lawn violations is her calling in life. 3 days later, a certified letter lands in my mailbox. $2, $500 for a special infrastructure assessment, and $100 a day until I comply. For grass. That's not a typo, 0.3 of an inch. I've seen actual criminals get smaller fines. So I do what any sane person would. I march into the next HOA meeting, ready to fight. The community center's packed, Chloe at the front table with pie charts, I kid you not, about property value impacts of grass height. She's got a thick folder labeled with my address, stuffed with months of evidence, trash can photos, fence measurements, scuffs on my mailbox post. Democracy means majority rules, Mr. King, she says with a smile that could freeze hell, and I'm outvoted like I'm a toddler asking for dessert. But that's when I notice a suit in the corner, shaking Chloe's hand. Turns out he's Michael Ross, a developer who's been quietly buying up every house on our block. Except mine. Suddenly, this isn't about grass. It's about pushing me out so they can cash in. Later, the HOA treasurer lets it slip at a coffee shop that the board gets infrastructure bonuses for completed deals. My grass isn't tall, it's just in the way. Inside the fine notice, a photo of my house with a big red X and 2 words, pay up. It's not just harassment anymore, it's a threat. Chloe had made it clear. She wanted me gone, and she wasn't playing. Couple days later, our neighborhood group chat lights up. Anonymous posts claiming I'm broke, facing foreclosure, getting visits from repo men. All lies. But rumors stick. By 9 a.m., folks are walking their dogs extra slow past my house, just to gawk. When I try to leave for work, Chloe blocks my car, arms crossed, right in my rear view, refusing to move. You're not leaving until we settle this, she says, loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. She starts calling the police, not because there's a threat, but to create one for her audience, painting herself as a victim, me as the aggressor. The cops show up, Chloe's sob story in full effect, and now my boss is calling, saying, maybe you should take some time off. One phone call from her, and now my job's on the line. But that's nothing compared to what came next. As I finally pull out, late, rattled, my brake pedal goes soft. I pump it, nothing. At the end of the street, for lanes of morning traffic, I realize the brakes are gone. I see the school bus coming, the intersection looming, my car rolling faster than my heart's pounding. In the rear view, Pete Parker, my buddy from 2 streets over, comes barreling up, horn blaring. Jump out, he mouths. I can't. Instead, Pete swings his truck ahead and lets my car hit his tailgate, stopping both of us just before disaster. The man ruined his truck to save me. And when he checks my car, his face goes pale. Dan, someone cut your brake lines. This wasn't an accident. Now I know. Chloe's not just a tyrant. She's dangerous. Pete's the only one I can trust. For weeks, he brings groceries, checks on Linda, helps with insurance calls, becomes our rock while everyone else just whispers. But at night, every creak and gust of wind feels like another attack. And Linda, she's falling apart, the stress turning to chest pains and ER visits we can't afford, especially after the bank freezes our accounts pending the insurance investigation. Then, the fire. Middle of a stormy July night, I smell plastic. Burning. Not rain, not lightning. Burning. There's orange light under the bedroom door. Smoke in the hall, too thick to see. Heat that feels alive. And I'm grabbing documents. Linda's grabbing pills. Both of us scrambling for the door. By the time we're out, the house is fully engulfed. 20 years, gone in minutes. Neighbors standing in yards, some filming, some crying. Chloe wandering the sidewalk in a bathrobe and reflective armband, whispering reminders to folks on what they remembered. When the fire inspector shows me the evidence bag with my fingerprints on a container of accelerant, my stomach drops. I've never seen it before, but the police aren't here to help. They're here to arrest me for arson and insurance fraud. That's when the true betrayal hits. Pete, the man who saved my life, keeps showing up at the motel, comforting us, running errands. Until I catch a glimpse of his phone, text from C. Keep him under watch. He looks defeated. She has Emma. Pete finally confesses, crumbling. Chloe used her court connections to threaten his custody, forced him to sabotage my brakes, plant evidence, and even save me as part of her plan. The hero I leaned on was actually the inside man, blackmailed the whole time. He weeps as he tells me, "I'm so sorry, Dan. She said she'd take my daughter if I didn't do what she wanted. She orchestrated everything, every last piece. My trust shattered, along with everything else." But Pete's confession and all the evidence finally flips the script. Soon, I'm not in the defendant's seat. I'm the victim, watching Chloe march into court with a lawyer who bills more than my house is worth. The look on her face when she realizes who she's messed with, a sitting judge, 15 years on the bench, was worth every sleepless night. The prosecution lays out the evidence. Security footage, emails, texts, Pete's full confession, and payments from the developer to Chloe for every family they forced out. The judge sets bail at $500,000, and her real estate license is suspended. Her business partner holds a press conference, dissolves their company, and throws Chloe under the bus for good measure. When Chloe tries to call her, she gets a recorded message. "If you're Chloe Green, please do not contact this number again." The dominoes fall. Insurance fraud, wire fraud, arson, conspiracy, all stacked higher than the ashes of my house. The DA offers Chloe a deal, 10 years, eligible for parole after 7 if she pleads out, or life in federal prison if she doesn't. She takes the deal. At sentencing, the courtroom's packed. Neighbors, the developer under arrest, even Pete and his daughter. I deliver my statement. Chloe didn't just destroy my house. She destroyed my sense of safety, my faith in my community, and almost cost me my life. But the law doesn't care how much money you have, or how many rules you think you can bend. Karma comes for everyone in the end. The judge hands down the sentence. 10 years, for $185,000 in restitution, and a lifetime ban from any HOA board. As Chloe is led away, she finally looks up, scanning the empty front row where her HOA cronies used to sit, and for the first time, there's nothing left but fear on her face. No more bravado, just the realization that she'd lost everything. Walking out of that courthouse, holding Linda's hand, heading back to the plot where we'd rebuild, I felt peace. Not vengeance, just the deep, quiet kind that comes when justice is actually served. You ever see a bully finally get theirs? It's something you never forget. Now, tell me, have you ever been pushed to the brink by someone who thought they were untouchable? What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's talk about justice, karma, and what it really means to stand your ground when everyone else looks away.